has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
I clearly see the great deception that hounds us today. There is a war for our attention by psychos that slay. The game is older than the hills, the human slaves, the bitter pills. We pay for honesty instead. They give us circuses and bread. Life by design and twisted language. They fool us, they lied. All made to cause you pain and anguish, to kill whole your pride. If they divide and conquer all, they'll only cause themselves to fall. For he who fights with tooth and nails becomes the wind that rips the sails. I won't forsake truth again.
Cheers again, Steve. Hello there, darlings. Much better mood today. I've had one day of sunshine. I can feel my spirit lifting because of one day of fucking sunshine. One day this summer's no bad. I suppose it's better than nothing, eh? One day. Right, what do I need here? It's better than nothing, eh? Shush. One, shush. Right, so I'm going to get through a few things this evening. I'm going to get through some comments that I've seen. The guy, I don't know if anybody's seen the guy, Dave Brisbane, who was here a couple of weeks ago. Now, whether or no this account is actually him, you know, whatever, I hope no. Because I did have hope that, you know, somebody like Dave was displaying a wee bit of honesty, but from the comments that I've seen, it's anything but honesty. So I'm going to get through some of them. I'm also going to get through a video that's been compiled. I've reacted to these before, where it's Neil deGrasse Tyson, you know, the Dave Mustaine, Megadeth frontman lookalike, Michelle Taylor, or whatever her name is, and Bill Nye. So I'm going to have a wee look at that again and just analyse it yet again, just to show you what's actually happening with these people, because if you don't think people like myself go far reaching, then what you'll see is these people now trying to adopt the narrative that myself has came forward with, and the stance that the position that I hold, and these people now trying to take ownership of that, and I'll highlight, you know, probably why and exactly what they're up to with their behaviour. So we're also going to have a wee look, as I say, through some of these comments, because again, look, it's simple. If you're new to this, people like myself don't have anything to defend. If you're applying, I mean, when we look at some of these apparent arguments, they're not even logical in any sense whatsoever. They're not even reasonably rational. The majority of these arguments that come out of this globe cult. Okay? Somebody like myself has nothing to defend. If you want to apply logic, reasoning, you know, the natural sciences, direct experience, Occam's razor, all these things would show you that, you know, your belief in the globe is absolutely absurd. Because, you know, you look at something like Occam's razor, you're having to adapt and add on extra stuffs to explain fantastical, nonsensical, you know, non-demonstrable physics to try and support your worldview. Now, there's all these mental contortions going on with people who are hell-bent on maintaining a belief. Now, that belief is saturated within these people. And for me, the reason that it's saturated within them is because of an image. They are contorting their brain. They are trying to bastardise and twist reality. Hijacking physics. Hijacking reasoning, logic. Trying to usurp it, that they have the superiority, that they have the upper stance, when it is the total opposite. It's no logical, it's no reasonable, it's no rational, it's no scientific in the realms of the natural sciences, that being objectivity, you know, physical substance, physics. It does not apply to any of that stuff whatsoever. So you should understand that. As I say, there's not one component aspect of the globular claim that can be demonstrated to you in a physical manner. Nothing can be recreated. You cannot, you know, construct a true scale model of a globular earth. That you will continually get excuses. You use circular reasoning and excuses. We can't demonstrate this, we can't demonstrate that because Earth gets in the way. There is nothing about objective reality. Any aspect of your objective reality can be demonstrated physically to you on a smaller scale or a bigger scale. We're talking true scale modelling. So, the globe has nothing tangible, nothing that you can recreate or physically demonstrate. Again, it utilises what is known as sophistry, manipulative use of language. They also incorporate, false equivalencies, misrepresentations, just barefaced lies. And I'm going to highlight some of this for you, so that you understand, comprehend, I should say. Any worries, Gav? Nellis, I see that you've messaged me as well. I'll get to that, mate. I've just no time. As I say, it's so good to have a day of sunshine. It's amazing how much people are lifted just by some sunshine. And again, I'm not telling any lies here. This is the first day through the whole summer months that we've had good weather, and you can see it in everybody. The children, adults, everybody lifted. It's absolutely wonderful. Anyhow. So, again, your position is that you have nothing to defend. Your direct experience of reality, every practical application and any experience that you have of reality is that you're on the level. Again, going back to these excuses, they want to show you an image of a globular earth with convex, bending, standing bodies of water, lakes, oceans, ponds, canals, rivers, right? Now in physics we understand that substance, we understand its behaviour. Well, I can demonstrate to you, I could make, a true scale model of something that represents the earth using the real substances that make up the earth, your everyday experience, and I can demonstrate that to you. When we go to the globular earth and we try and apply the very same thing, you can't. It's just not achievable. Because it's conceptual. It's abstract physics. Mathematical physics that's just became so abstract that it's fucking unbelievable. So, any aspect of your physical reality can be demonstrated to you. Any claims made about your physical reality must be demonstrated to you. So in an example of water and how we know it to behave, they just start saying, it needs to be bigger scale. That's not the point. The point is an understanding of the physicality of the substance, how it behaves, what it's capable of and what it is not. Now we know through demonstration that it's unable to maintain convexity upon the surface. You can't start from one point and have a lower elevation from that starting point and not expect the water to flow. They'll say things to you like, Earth gets in the way. I need a planetoid. Now what that translates to is that they need to remove you from Earth. You need to go to some obscure reference frame that nobody ever goes to, that does not exist, in order for these people to demonstrate their claims. That is pseudoscience. That is pseudoscience. Factually, pseudoscience. If anybody else was making claims, as I say, if you've watched mainstream science through the last 10, 15, 20 years, you'll see a lot of this, attack on religious ideologies and, metaphysical claims and yada yada. Well, they talk about this and they profess that it's pseudoscience. Things held to be true, but can it be demonstrated to be factually correct, blah, 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 blah. The globular earth is in the category of pseudoscience. It's in the very same category of claiming invisible unicorns are running about Mars. Or whatever metaphysical pipe dreams and fanciful beliefs you want to have. The globular earth is no different. It's only because you're presented with an image. So, in the realms of reasoning, is it reasonable for you to take something that's presented to you on a screen two-dimensionally? Do you think it's reasonable for you to accept... Hold on, I'll just make sure everyone's alright here. I'm not taking calls right now. Do you think it's reasonable to accept, logically, rationally, scientifically, that an image presented to you on a screen fits into those categories of logic, reasoning, science? Is this movie now a scientific fact? There's your world. There's space dudes in the vacuum of space, having a bit of a bad time. So the thing is you comprehend that that's a movie. Is this scientific? Is this logical? Superman's real? Oh, Superman's flying and he's talking to invisible entities in the clouds. Look at that.
You are here for a reason.
There we go. There's Superman in space. There's your globular world. There it is for you. Is it reasonable for you to use that as scientific proof that the Earth's a globe? What about these? Are these scientific proof for you? Are they logical, reasonable, rational for you to assert and believe that you live on an absurd world because you can see these images? Huh? This is it. This is your scientifical worldview of rational thought and applying logic. You see it on a screen, therefore it must be real. And what you're going to do is you're going to cherry pick and misrepresent aspects of reality in order to confirm your bias, because that's what we're going to witness this evening. That is what globe believers must do. They must cherry pick and misrepresent and tell lies, because this is the base assumption. Never seen it with their own eyes, never proved it to exist in any manner whatsoever, but they start from the premise that it's already a given. That is their world because they've seen an image on the TV. Know themselves on the telly. Look at this cartoonery. Every bit of it. Cartoons. There you go. Real as fuck. So, where they start from is this premise. The Earth's a globe. No reasoning or scientific, reasons required. The assumption and the belief wholeheartedly is Earth's a globe. I seen it on the telly. I believe it. From there, they will go about twisting, misrepresenting, telling lies about any manner of your objective reality in order to try and pass it over as being some sort of rational, scientific, reasoning process. Well, it's just no. It's a religious cult full of deceptive, idiotic liars. It has no physics. It does not belong in the realms of natural science. It is a formal science using language, mathematics, bastardized in order to present to you this idiotic cartoon. There it's there. Magic. Scientific proof. I was watching Del the other night and he showed you globe on the screen there for Earth's globe. But they think, oh, don't misrepresent us. They think they're so sophisticated with their gibberish. And I'm about to shite from a great height all over their utter gibberish garbage. Dave Brisbane is an absolute moron. Anybody that speaks like him or tries to misrepresent people like myself are blatant liars. And there's nothing worse than somebody that comes to you presenting themselves to be decent, just putting on a face while they run about misrepresenting you, telling fucking lies and spewing gibberish in other people's comment sections. Now, last week I went on to a guy called John Davidson, calls himself the Blethering Pensioner. I did not advertise that I was going to be going on to John's channel. The reason being is that I did not want cult lunatics, zealots, bombarding the man's channel with their utter shite. As predicted, once it was over and I advertised it, he's now had an onslaught of idiotic morons like Dave Brisbane spewing total and utter ridiculous crap in his comment section. Pure sophistry and pseudoscience. Now I think Dave Brisbane is a barefaced fucking liar. Like the majority of these people that present themselves as globe proponents or experts. You're not an expert, you're a moron. I can tear apart every aspect of your cult worldview, easy peasy. Which is why when Dave Brisbane came on, he was sheepish and tried to skirt round things. Why did you never address any of your idiotic comments that you posted on another's channel when you were here face to face with me, Dave Brisbane? I'll tell you why. Because you knew fine well I would rip it apart right in front of you and make you look like an absolute mong. So deceptively, you wait for your opportunity to go to comment sections and try and sway the gullible onlooker, people who may not have the depth of understanding of their idiotic cult worldview. And you know fine well that they probably don't have that depth, Dave. So what you're as an intellectual bully, a predator, who has gone into comment section to try and intimidate and subtly bully people with your pseudo-intellect into believing your idiotic, stupid worldview. I don't accept that fucking shite. You should be ashamed of yourself, son. If you've got the cojones, come and sit in front of me again and let's address your fucking idiotic comments. I see stuffs. Look what I sees. I sees bendy water with my eyesies. Look, I'm looking and the water's bendy because I sees it with my eyesies. That's pretty much the fucking stupidity that mongs like Dave Brisbane pull out their arse. So, we'll start there and then we'll get to the mainstream science guys, the bigwigs, the high priests of globular earth lunacy. So, quickly we'll go through it. Again, you understand, it's no scientific, it's no logical, it's no rational for you to believe in something because it's presented to you on a TV screen. End of story. It's no logical, it's no scientific for you to make assumptions about intangible phenomena in the sky. And then based on those assumptions, start making assertions about what's going on, without ever providing tangible proof for your premise. You must comprehend that there's a massive difference between the three-dimensional world that you move around in 3 dimensions, and the world as you see it through your eyes. There's a very distinct difference in the geometry of those 2 worlds. Now, any globe believer who continually brings up visible proofs without accounting for every aspect of the geometry of vision and how they're incorporating it into their proofs is a liar. Everybody should comprehend visible proofs can change through various conditions, temperatures, pressure, moisture content. There's loads of factors which makes it inconsistent. You can view something like Ailsa Rock clearly one day. The next day, you cannot see it. People are, putting up visible phenomena left, right and centre. Andrew Execrate 200 put a very good visible video up yesterday. Looking over a massive distance at a mountain that shouldn't be visible. But this is what I'm talking about the globe and its dishonesty. It will cherry pick. You're even going to see guys like Dave Brisbane rattling on about Lake Pontchartrain and its idiotic curvature. Visible phenomena. Oh, look, it's bending because I sees it. What I'm pointing out to you is you start from physics. These people don't have an account for the geometry of vision. They will never account for the geometry of vision. They don't even fully understand vision, so they cannot account for it. You start from a physical understanding. You're making a visible observation over a substance. What you first must understand, comprehend, is the physicality, the behaviour of that substance. Standing at any standing body of water, you, through your practical, lived life understanding, should comprehend that if the water is not flowing away from you, it means that it's a stable, equilibrated body of water, which means it has filled the void. It now has nowhere else to go. There is no declination and elevation, so it can't run or flow anywhere, which means it's now stable, which means the surface is a level horizontal plane. Meaning, if you start at the surface here and you go anywhere upon that surface of the body of water, you're at equal elevation from your starting point. Level. Now when you look, it looks like the water at your feet is rising up in front of you, and it's getting narrower, and the sky descends, and the mountains and anything else coming into your central field of view gets smaller. That's because of the geometry of your vision. That's not how the world actually is. But if you jump and ignore, this is what I'm pointing out, the globular earth ignores physics. It just jumps straight to the visible phenomena because it's starting from a premise that the globular earth is real and bodies of water they curve, and it starts looking and going, see look, it's curving now, done, proof cease. That's how pathetic they are. So you'll witness that yourself. There are inconsistencies from one day to the next, from one upload to the next. People see great distances, sometimes they see shorter distance. How's the globe going to account for this? Oh, it's morphing. It's a morphing space rock. It gets bigger and smaller. So let me just see here. So to be honest with you, I feel the need to apologise to John Davidson, but I know John's man enough himself to comprehend what's actually going on with these zealots, because they just bombard anybody. Again, as I pointed out the last time, they'll continually assert that people like myself are fringe lunatics, right? And that the majority of the populace believe it's a globe, and it's evidently a globe, and this, that and the other. Yeah. Thank you. Right, so they're assert that we're all fringe lunatics, but yet they're obsessively fucking, following me about. I go to another man's channel, I'm not answering the phone right now, I said. I've got another man's channel who is involved in any manner of different topics and discussions. And these people feel the need to bombard with utter sophistry the man's comment section and try and bully and intimidate anybody else who is within that comment section. This is their game. You'll never see that behaviour with people that believe in pink unicorns or, you know, whatever. These people are obsessed. Creepily obsessed. But yet they have never anything to offer. Same old garbage over and over again. So let's see. Bendy Water. How I destroyed the flat earth. Again, a straw man. There is no flat earth. The geometry of the world that we apply every day is planar. Non-curving. So how did you debunk that? So as you will see here again, this is somebody who's professing they've debunked a substance. Physics. These people think they're debunking physics. Right? So what we should be expecting to see here is some sort of practical demonstrations of the substance and it being able to behave the way they assert that it behaves. But I bet you we don't. I bet you we get some moron where, oh look, sees camera. It's a camera, I see stuffs. Utter bollocks, Dave. You're complete and utter lying moron. No practical demonstration, a moron with a camera, making assertions, all sorts of assumptions, never accounting for any of it, and then trying to pass himself off as some sort of superior intellect. Send me all the information of how you accounted for the geometry of vision, how the camera perceives the world, and how you accounted for all that in your proofsy. Bring forth the practical demonstrations of how a standing body of water can bend and can form round objects and display it on the surface. Bring them. Cameras, I sees it, no good to me. I could pull up any number of other observations using cameras that will show greater distance viewed. Fucking idiots. Dave Brisbane again, indoctrinated at the age of 5. This is him trying to be a fucking smarmy wee wank. When I attended school for the first time at the tender age of 5 in Glasgow, I was confronted everywhere by flat maps. They were on the walls, they were in textbooks, and we were even forced to draw flat maps as an exercise. The teachers never stopped discussing and pointed to flat maps and showing us where we lived in this flat world. Then one day I visited a friend's house who was a migrant from China, and I saw a spherical earth globe for the first time. What Dave means is he's seen a bit of plastic. A plastic fucking toy. It all made sense now. Eclipses, sunsets, sunrise, distinct horizon, varying lengths of the day and night, boats disappearing over the curve, the Coriolis effect, the retrograde motion of Mars, the phases of Venus. These phenomena were all easily explained if you live on a rotating sphere that is part of a heliocentric system. So Dave's incredulity and his blatant Dunning-Kruger in full display here. Dave sees a plastic fucking toy. Now Dave has to make all sorts of assumptions based on witnessing a plastic toy about what's happening with these intangible phenomena above him. And water can bend, and we can live in a pressurised gaseous environment in a vacuum with no solid separation. Dave's got to go through all sorts of mental gymnastics because he was enamoured by a spherical plastic toy. I mean, is this the fucking mind of a sane person? The man's telling you. I seen a plastic toy in China, and from there I just went into fucking absolute intellectual meltdown. It all made sense now. Eclipses. Things that are happening above you that don't define what the earth is. But because Dave is enamoured with this assumption, everything in Dave's world must fit his assumption that he's never proved, by the way. But everything that Dave witnesses, and the same as any other glober, everything that they witness, they've got to mind warp it to fit their wee religious cult assumption, their wee core security blanket that they've never proved. Sunrise. Oh, let's make more assumptions. Yes, it's a plasma fusion ball in a vacuum that goes down. We spin away and it appears to go down as we spin away from it down the curve of the earth. I've sort of said this before, Dave. Why don't you display this for us, Dave? Right? Because we'll get on to horizons in a wee second, Dave. Right? So, when you're witnessing a sunset, sun going... I've brought on the Globe's favourite fucking tool. Fuck, I threw the knickers away. Shit. Shorts okay. So Dave, and any other mong out there. It's the sun going down! Sun's going down! Is it? Alright, so now this point here must remain fixed. Now you should be able to elevate up, and as you elevate up, you're going to look down at the slope of the earth going down in front of you. And you're going to see the sun way down, and you're going to look down at the sun, downwards at the sun. As you elevate up, you must look down at the sun, if that was your world view. And you should be able to show us that you, camera elevated up and had to angle downwards to look down the slope of the earth and look down at the sun that you're asserting is going down. Doesn't happen in reality. Stop talking shite, Dave, you're an absolute spastic. Distinct horizon. A distinct horizon. Like that fucking level straight fucking line that if you go to the west coast and you get two land masses. I can go down to the west coast and I've got a fucking horizon, a perfectly fucking straight line, and I've got a landmass here, and I've got a landmass here with 28 miles between them, which on a globular earth equates to something like 350 feet of curvature, which means from a central point there has to be a drop on either side of whatever half of that number is I just gave you. Right? So what we should then be able to do is put a straight edge up to that and see if we can detect any sort of drop from the central point. Lo and behold, we do not. The horizon's not a physical thing. That's why from day to day it changes. That's why from today you could go out and you could say, oh, the horizon's 12 miles away. Tomorrow, 3 fucking miles. Just depends on the conditions. What you will never witness or measure, demonstrate in any way, shape or form is that the horizon is curving anywhere. But again, we're back to but it curves that way. So the floor's right. So on the globular earth, again, we're standing looking levelled, straight out, right? The fucking floor appears to rise up in front of us like this. They're saying you're looking at this as it comes up in front of you, and then a wee boat goes down this curve here. This is what these fucking idiots believe. That the floor rises up like that and then drops away like this. You don't look down. You look straight out. And it will change from day to day how far you can see. What we're discussing here is the realms of vision. Not the three-dimensional world. Not the world that's outside of you. We're talking about the world and how you see it here. But again, people like Dave know that. But they're just dishonest little cretins. varying lengths of day and night. Again, we're talking about intangible phenomena that they make assumptions about that does not ever define what's beneath your feet. Again, this is just a common theme that you will see continually over and over and over again from the globular earth. The use of sophistry, red herring fallacies. Let's establish what's down here, the dimensions are down here. Oh, but we'll look up there for it. There's a circle in the sky. There's a ball in the sky, therefore we must live on a ball. That is the idiotic reasoning. Lazy, intellectually lazy, decrepit mongs. Boats disappearing over the curve. More assertions being made. That's not what's happening, Dave. Standing bodies of water are no bending anywhere, Dave. Physics would show you that if you weren't so fucking lazy and hell-bent on maintaining an idiotic belief. Coriolis effect, for fuck's sake. We'll get to that maybe at some point. Retrograde motion of Mars. We're still looking up here. Phases of Venus, yada yada yada. So about red herrings. Doesn't mean anything. They have a system, okay? So they make assumptions and then they interpret everything in what they witness in the world to fit the presupposed assumption, which is disingenuous, unscientific, no logical, and throws Occam's razor right out the fucking window. Because, no, the water's no level in their world. It's bending. Well, how's it bending? Now we need to add in some magic. And it just continues on. Add more magical stuffs. Add more words. More. All to maintain an idiotic belief. These phenomena are easily explained. Because that's what you want to be true, Dave. And the same as your other people that are like you. They want it to be true. Told you I'm not taking phone calls. Pay attention. I'll tell you when I'm taking phone calls. Dave's just trying to be a funny dude. He's not really. He's a fucking idiot. This is another comment from, on a flat earth there would be no distinct horizon. There isn't a distinct horizon. The horizon's not a thing. Go and get me it. Go and get me some horizon. Go, Dave. Go and run out and get me some horizon. Again, it's a effect of your vision. No something that's out there in the real world, Dave. And now he makes assumptions and assertions about a flat earth. Suppose you were on a beach and looking out over the ocean on a clear cloudless day on the flat earth, whatever the flat earth is. Some straw man rubbish in Dave's lying, deceptive little world. At some point, possibly hundreds of kilometres away, the sky and ocean would become indistinguishable due to the scattering of light. Here's the thing, Dave. As I pointed out before, don't know if you're aware of this. See if you were actually on a globe, right, with a circumference of 24,000 miles. You would be able to see down the slight gradual slope of the earth for hundreds of fucking miles. Nothing obscured. Nothing. But that's not what happens in reality, is it, Dave? So if it was a globe, you would be seeing an astronomical amount of distance with nothing obscured. But yet, you'll offer up videos over a distance of 10 miles, professing that there's an immense amount of fucking curvature drop and stuff being hidden by humps that rise up in front of you. That's not how it would work, Dave. If I'm standing levelled on a globe looking straight out, the floor would never come up like that. It would be a gradual drop in its elevation from my feet that I would be able to look down, and nothing would be obscured for hundreds and hundreds of miles. Nothing. So I think you better wind your neck in, wee man. Triangular.
You know where it comes?
Yeah? Aye. I'm only kidding. Only kidding. Just blew me a kiss. Caught it, threw it back. My kind big bastard like to share. So where was I? Atmosphere. The ocean and atmosphere would merge to become a haze as viewed by the observer. Dave's now making assertions based on fuck all. Just making stuff up now. Horizons and all the stuff you're talking about, Dave, belong to the geometry of the apparatus that you're using to make your assertions on. So how are you accounting for it, Dave? I would love to see all this. You know fine well, and I know fine well, that you've got fuck all, son. You just keep making assertions displaying how dishonest you are. So the question is, how is it possible for a person to discern a distinct horizon that looks like the edge of the ocean? It's an effect of your vision, Dave. Again, I'm going to ask you the fucking questions. Why does the ocean appear to rise? If I'm levelled, looking straight out perfectly, why does the ocean appear to go like that up in front of me, Dave? At a point that you now say goes like that and drops down. What kind of weird sphere is this, Dave? The answer is that it would be impossible to observe a distinct horizon on a flat earth because of the haze. What? Eh? What? Again, the horizon is not a physical thing. It's an effect of vision. Dave, again, this is what I'm saying. You can't just make things concise and have a discussion with people. It's the usual zealot tactic. Gish gallop is what it's known as. A form of fallacy, right? Where they just bombard with all sorts of fucking gibberish to bamboozle people. Gish gallop. Dave is a gish galloper. Giddy up, Dave! Only you're the one that's been rode, son. Yeah, I'm just going to let Gavin in this here. Right. So back to Dave again, as I say, gish galloping his way through a fucking comment section. These are all individual gish gallops that are just loaded with assumptions, misrepresentations, lies, all manner of sophistry coming out of Dave here. The world military budget was 1.8 trillion per annum in 2016. The globe lie would cost more than that to maintain. No, it wouldn't, Dave. Because what's the military budget go to do with a fucking globular earth? Fuck all! And again, no everybody has to be actively lying, Dave. People just don't comprehend their world or what they've been told about their world. They just blindly believe stuff. This is just him trying to sway by thinking he's clever and he's unfunny, ridicule. You're just a boring old fucking gimp, son. Easy meat for me. My estimate is somewhere in between these two numbers at around. Dave just likes making shit up and pulling stuff out his fucking baggy hoop. 4.5 trillion per annum to maintain the global eye. By contrast, NASA's budget is around 19 billion per annum, which is 0.42% to be cost of maintaining the global eye. Dave's just making all sorts of assertions. No specifics. Nothing. Just a form of ridicule, hand-wave dismissing, and trying to act like some superior intellect, which he is not. Quite the opposite. Gav.
Hey there, my man.
You alright, mate? Let's turn this down.
Can you hear me alright?
I can.
Sound.
Are we alright? No delays? Any of that stuff?
No, it's looking good at the moment. So,
I'll just see if I can screen share you. Hopefully it'll work here. Oh, fuck off, it's no, it's on the... Well, I'll be able to screen share you once I'm finished reading out this stuff.
there you go. Go for it first.
Aye.
At the moment, I'm seeing your screen back to front and mirrored. So,
Aye.
funny that.
Hang on This should... If I just shut that... You still there, Gav?
Still here, aye.
Right, that's fine. So I'm just reading through some of these comments, Gav, and then obviously I'll pull up the video that you sent me. As I say to you, I've reacted to them before, but it'll be good just to go through each aspect. Obviously, you've got some input on it as well, so...
Right. Done.
Right.
Go for it first. Whatever you're doing, I'm not wanting to interrupt.
Well, just join in, aye. I mean, I'm on to Dave's I think this is his fourth fucking Gish Gallop comment. So, have a look at this video documentary on Lake Pontchartrain Causeway Bridge. Dave, go and get the blueprints for the bridge. Go and get the engineering blueprints. I guarantee you that it's no based on non-Euclidean principles. Right? Because the engineers knew fine well that the body of water was level beneath the bridge, Dave. But I guarantee you in your video it's somebody looking at a specific angle to try and recreate an effect that you can cherry pick and assert as proof of your globular idiocy. Again, no accounting for vision or any of that. Just, I sees it and now I've cherry picked it to fit my assumption that I've never proved in the first place, and it's a globe. Now he's onto the Coriolis effect. Another fucking gibberish nonsense. Earth curve detected in New Zealand. You better go and tell Andrew that, because he's finding the opposite. And that's about enough of fucking Dave Brisbane and his utter crap. Just the same old shite. Nothing new. New characters appearing on the scene, thinking they're fucking savvy and intellectually fucking smarty pants, when they are absolutely the opposite. They are so fucking far up their own arse and displaying an immense amount of fucking dishonesty and stupidity. Right, you still there, Gav?
I am indeed, my man.
So, I don't even feel the need to talk about the Coriolis effect. It's just utter fucking shite.
It's just pish, just mathematical physics,
Yeah.
Carefully constructed, crafted language, right? That, tries to bamboozle people with specific arts and terms and grammar and, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Again, it's something that you learn at school or at education or in the university, and you believe it.
Yeah.
Right? You have this our superior feeling of new knowledge, better knowledge, you know, smarter than everybody else. But when you poke through it all, Dale, it's just words. Just
Exactly.
and
that's it.
that's all it is, because that's, you know, it's all math is, right?
Aye.
We've said this a million times, and it's absolutely true. It's just a formal language.
And that the problem is people like Dave and his ilk think that because they can comprehend a man-made system, you know, that somehow defines their world, because they can comprehend that.
Yep, absolutely. I'm guilty of it myself. I told you that right at the start, you know.
Yep.
Totally bamboozled, totally taken in from it, until you actually just, I don't know, you know, get wise to this, you know, make discernments. I don't know what it is. It's a matter of whatever life experience or waking up. You call it whatever you want, you know.
Yep.
But when you start to see through the shite, and there's so many that haven't, you know, especially all the academics there, all the education system, all the people heavily invested and, you know, in a lifetime are, you know, thinking they're smart, you know.
Exactly.
So very difficult for people like that to be honest with themselves, you know.
And again, it's so infuriating, because we're quite clearly highlighting for them the difference between conceptual, you know, reasoning and, you know, tangible physicality, and obviously highlighting to them the geometry of vision and how it needs to be accounted for, and they're just blatantly ignoring it.
Well, they have to, right? Because if they did actually, you know, look at it the same way, Dale, then they'd realise their mistakes. Yeah. They'd realise the nonsense, or they'd be, you know, outed, right, for the deceit they're doing. You know, I mean, they're either in ignorance, right, or they're at it. That's the only real two options that they have, and either way, they don't want to go there. So, no, you're absolutely correct. And it's the physicality, it's the substance. We've talked about this too before. You know, there's a huge difference between what is currently called physics, which is not the physics that we are talking about, Dale.
No.
Right? That would still be more on the, let's say, applied physics. When people talk about physics, they think about mathematical physics, theoretical physics, astrophysics, all these things that have more to do with maths than they do with actual physical substance, right? With, you know, corporeal stuff, substantial stuff, earth, water, you know, all this, the things that surround us, right? The natural world, if we want to call it that. That's where the real physics is, right? That's what we're talking about, where, you know, that demonstrates to us our reality. And when they talk physics, it's already a bastardization of the words, because what they mean is mathematical physics. That's what they'll already cross the boundaries into models and ideas and concepts, you know? And that's the deceitful part, right? That's the carefully crafted language. That's them taking away what the common understanding of a word would be, right? And redefining it in their terms. And only if you've done their courses, done their degrees, done their education, are you thought to actually know what you're talking about. Horizon, the word horizon's a perfectly good example of it, right? I mean, there's at least 10 different meanings of the word horizon: astronomical horizon, geometrical horizon, true horizon, apparent horizon, right? So, you know, when they just pick those words in a sentence and put it together, then, you know, they'll pretend that you don't know what they're talking about, right? And that's the deceitful part of it, because we should be having a language which is true and common to all of us, which we all understand the same thing. Then we can have a basis for a real discussion about our objective reality.
Still there, Gav? Fuck happened there? Let's see what's going on here. Just bear with me, people. I've not got the watch page up just now because I was trying to sort that out. So, Gav, if you can still hear me, I'm just going to send you another link. So what I'm waiting, Gav, obviously as Gav was saying, I mean, it's been highlighted and, you know, shown continually that that's what we're talking about. When I talk about physics, and it should be the same for you. You know, we're not talking about abstract, conceptual fucking nonsense. We're talking about the world of it and the tangible things within the world, how they behave, what are they comprised of, what's their relationship with other substances, what effects come when you put two together. You know, that's what we're talking about. That's real physics. I'm going to have to check here. I don't know what the fuck's going on. So I'm still going. Still here.
All right, my man.
Alright, you're back. Aye.
I lost you for a minute there.
Aye.
You hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, mate. Aye.
Yeah,
Just to be sure.
Yeah.
Right, I need to shut these off again so that I can get you shared. Right, you still there, Gav? Aye.
I am indeed.
Still there?
Right. Still here.
Still there?
1, 2, 17. Still there. Still
Nice
here.
one. Nice one.
I'm still here.
Cool. Aye, so before you get cut off.
I'm not sure how much you heard, but we were just talking about the language aspect, right? The fact that common words will be abused, right? Their meaning will be carefully reconstructed, right?
Yeah.
Put in different terms and contexts, and you're supposed to have an education around the new use of these words.
Yeah.
And horizon's a very good example of it. You know, I think there's a dozen different meanings for the word horizon. You know, apparent horizon, geometric horizon, true horizon, astronomical horizon. You know, I could go on and you know, whatever way they, you know, profess to use it in any one of their so-called proofs, right? Then, you know, they're very good at twisting the meaning of the things so that you're not supposed to be able to understand them.
Yeah.
And if you ask me, that's one of the big faults in the whole of science, right? Is that we can't agree on the proper terms and words that are common to all people, right? And that would be delved into to avoid all, how should I say, dubiety about what is correct. That's why we continuously push the need for a demonstration, right? Because no words are needed then, right? They can't confuse with language if we ask for a demonstration in a practical fashion, right? So, and I know that's what your hang-out's about, right? Comprehending the sophistry, and it's absolutely a huge part of it, you know. I mean, there's so many good people have done good work now, exposing and showing what, you know, all the breakdown of what logical fallacies are, and you know, I think more and more people understand it. It's certainly one of the biggest methods of deceit. Absolutely no doubt about it.
And that's
and the other thing that I keep want to highlight is this difference between what we call physics and what other people call physics. This mathematical physics has become synonymous with physics, right? And that shouldn't be the case. You know, there's a clear separation of what are real substances, real corporeal things, right? Bodies, you know, solid stuff, right? That is part of our natural world. And then when you slowly go into or bleed into what is mathematical physics, where it's mixed already with models, where we're talking about, for example, little elementary particles that are supposed to live inside every single thing we have, right? You know, there's no proof for that, right? There's no way for us to see it. It's based on mathematical physics. You know what I mean? And that's a huge danger when all they do is talk in those terms, and we try and bring them back to talking about the natural world, to the physical substances, their behavior. And that's where they run a mile, you know, just to close the gap to the conversation. That's where they don't want to go, you know.
Exactly.
And it's disingenuous.
Of course it is. And I mean, it's getting to the point now of total absurdity. It's been pointed out to them. We've been here saying this for 5 years now. The very same things, constantly highlighting it, constantly pointing out, and they have done nothing to show any sort of honesty or to account for any of the factors that we've raised. Nothing. They just continue on with the same. It's almost like a religious text where it doesn't matter what's brought to them or what's stated to them or shown to them. They just hammer on with the religious text over and over and over again. which, you know, guys like Dave have blatantly displayed. You know, he's no a man of honour and honesty and integrity. He's a fucking lying bullshitter. And so is anybody that comes with that same rhetorical shite. You know, I've got absolutely nothing but contempt for them at this point now. And that's all they deserve. How can you reason with these people?
Yeah, I mean, you can give them a certain leeway right at the beginning, Dale, out of pure ignorance that they don't understand what it is we're talking about. Yeah. But, you know, at the very latest, once they've listened a few times to what it is we're actually saying, and they then avoid that, right? Yeah. Or ignore it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Deliberately. Mm-hmm. Because there's no other reason for it. If these people are academics, right, and truly seeking the truth and honest inquiry, then they would look at it the way we look at it, right? Mm-hmm. They would go back and question their own assumptions, question their beliefs, question their education. So, you know, after an initial state of, you know, ignorance, which I'll attribute to everybody, including myself at the beginning, right? Then, but after that, they're just lying bastards. Mm-hmm. There's nothing else to say.
Exactly, which is why they'll come here. Which is why they'll come here and they'll be coy, because they know that you're being honest and you're trying to reason with them, but they're very cautious about avenues that they want to go into, because they know that you're going to highlight their dishonesty in it. You know, I mean, it's so obvious. It should be so obvious to anybody at this point what's going on with these people and what this globe actually is. You know. But,
yep. And they should be ashamed of themselves, Dale, to be quite honest, because, you know, they're the guys that go around spouting that they have some kind of academic, you know, Platonic wisdom, right? Mm-hmm. That they know better than everybody else, and that we are all too stupid to comprehend warped space-time, right? Yep. Well, no, sorry, you know, I mean, I've been there. I did think I comprehended that, Dale. You know, I went through that whole system, right? And it's fairly obvious to me that, you know, the people, for example, watching this channel and others, obviously, that have woken up to it and are honest with themselves, that haven't gone through that education, they're much easier to wake up because they don't have all that baggage, right?
Exactly.
But anybody who doesn't look at the baggage he's carrying and honestly, you know, sift through it to see what is real and what is just pure fiction and nonsense, he's being dishonest with himself, right? And I've got no time for people like that anymore, Dale.
They're entitled to be dishonest with themselves, but don't fucking come here and you know, try and insult me with your pish. And then at the same time, act friendly and then run away misrepresenting people like me or yourself, you know, trying to attach straw men to us and making all sorts of assertions about who we are and what we think and how we think that are just no true, you know. But that's their game, you know. They use propaganda, dishonesty, manipulation, which, you know, again, we're trying to be objective, you know, apply reasoning, logic, science, and have an objective, you know, inquiry into this. And this is all these people partake in continually, fighting against some strawman cartoon, flat earth, and fucking making all sorts of statements about you and I and how we think and what we believe and all that shite. I mean, they're just a circus of liars.
Yep. I don't think they have any other avenue, because they know that if they come here and discuss it on the actual, you know, facts of the matter, Dale, and the reasoning, then they're on to buns, right? They're going to lose, right? So they have to lump people like me and you into this, you know, big overall, you know, category of flat earthers. And I mean, we know ourselves that they throw in protagonists, right? Agents provocateurs, right? False people in there to make the whole thing, you know, even worse. I mean, they do it in all sectors. It's not just this one, right?
Yeah.
So,
but this is particularly saturated, as I said. You know, I was talking about John Davidson, you know, the guy that invited me on to have a chat, and the reason why I never advertised it was because I knew these people would descend on it and turn it into a fucking circus. And lo and behold, as soon as it was finished, you can go there now and they're just fucking bombarding his comment section. You know,
to be expected.
Aye.
And again, just pure. I don't know. I mean, that's just nasty, really, Dale, isn't it? When there's a man, you know, trying to have a decent conversation online with his pals or his extended network, whatever you want to call it, right? And then they're in there bombarding him, you know, with the same nonsense. And not everybody can take it, right, Dale?
No.
The same way, you know, you can or I can. I don't give a shit what these people say. And I hope John doesn't either.
No,
John was his name.
No, he doesn't. But, you know, I know what their game is. They're just trying to sway and influence anybody that may watch that or, you know, have a read through the comment section, because they're sneaky little bastards. You know, they don't have the cojones to step up to the mark and have it on full display. They've got to use underhanded tactics and run about behind your back and play all these fucking games. You know, and again, what you've got to understand is that their premise is that we're fringe lunatics. So you've got these people who are dedicated to attacking apparent fringe lunatics, a tiny minority of the population, you know, in defence of the obvious and scientific proofsy globe worldview. I mean, how does that make sense to anybody?
Absolutely none whatsoever. Right. I mean, if we are just fringe lunatics, then what the hell are they doing here? Why are they even wasting their time and bothering? So I mean, well, we know we're not, Dale. We know that the rest of the world's, you know, bat crazy, if you ask me.
Fucking right it is.
When I look around, what the fuck's going on, the beliefs that people have, the fear that they have, the you know, I don't want to go into all the other topics that we could go into, but it's a common trait, right? Of basically fear and bewilderment, as you've said from the beginning, right? And
that's it.
So
it's all rooted in this. It's all rooted in where we are, you know, because I say it all the time, and you know I'm going to keep fucking saying it. We don't know where we are, and you get these people making assertions to everybody about what life's about, what the world is, and what's expected of you, and it's just conceptual ideas plucked out of fucking thin air and from the arsehole of guys like Dave Brisbane, you know what I mean, and spewed onto the world as if it's all factual, and it's just no, you know. We're in the shit state that we're in because we're bewildered, blinded, don't know where we are, don't know what the fuck's going on.
No, absolutely correct. And to be honest, though, it doesn't take much to see through the bullshit. You know, I mean, I know lots of people come to the discernment of the deceit that, you know, we have in the whole of society, or what's called society, through different avenues. Some will come over the legal system and the straw man stuff in the legal system. Other people will maybe now come in through this whole medical scam, right, with germ theory and virus theory that is, you know, based on invisible entities. You know, I mean, or the natural physics that we're talking about here, right? So in every one of those big columns of, let's say, education, or colleges even, if you look at the university system, there's a big lie at the bottom of each one of them, Dale. And people come to this whole topic through, you know, various avenues. But basically, if you have a couple of base discernments, right, and you see through the bullshit, you see through one, you see through them all. That's the good thing, right?
That's it.
Which I think is why it's so scary for them, that people wake up to, for example, the flat earth. Because if you wake up to that, you wake up to a hell of a lot of different things,
That's
right?
it.
Or maybe it's some other avenue, you know what I mean?
But what people should start seeing is how the language is utilised and how to be able to analyse the language. And again, basing things, as we always say, on the practical reference and how it's attached to the practical reference, because the practical reference should display it for you. You don't need any of the fucking long-winded pish that goes with it. Practical reference, you know? As you know, case in point, I mean, I'm just going to throw this in here quick, Gav. This is just an example of the absurdity. So we spoke earlier about water. Give me a demonstration how it behaves. We can't show you it because we need something the size of a planet. So therefore, we need to remove ourselves and go to another reference frame so that we can display this for you. And it's akin to me saying, I can fly. It's a physical fact that I can fly, but I can't show you here because Earth and its magical gravity gets in the way. What I would have to do is go to another reference frame in order to display to you that I can fly, right? But here's a picture of me flying. No, I've just proved to you that I can fly. No, the duty and the burden of proof is on you to prove me wrong.
Yeah, and that's just absurd. That's just pseudoscience, Dale. It's just pseudoscience.
Aye.
It's quackery at
but this is their physics. They think they're so fucking intellectual and windswept and all that they can make these idiotic fucking statements. And I've just gave you an analogy of that's exactly what they're saying to you. We can't display things in a physical demonstration because of an excuse. Therefore, we have to go to some unknown, intangible reference frame to display these apparent physics. If you went into a corporeal physics lab and tried to pass that shite, you would just get laughed at. You know? Oh, never mind the Bunsen burners, lads. Don't bring out the substances, never mind all that, because such and such has got a picture and a big fucking explanation. So,
Yep. And I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you know, if we look at that whole fallacy of you know, having to remove yourself into space, right? Whatever you want to call space, to be able to see the curve of the Earth.
Yep.
There's an assumption in there, right? You have to believe that there's a space in which you can move into, right? So, you know, and if you assume there's a space that you have to move into, and you assume that you're looking at a ball, then you've already assumed that which is actually still to be proven, Dale, right? So, I mean, it's a complete logical fallacy to begin with, right? But, you know, I mean, I'm sure we can point these things out in a bit more detail.
The thing about it is there is not one aspect of physical reality that I could not bring and demonstrate to you. Not one, right? But when we come to the globular Earth, it's, you know, it's all different. You know, oh, we can't display it because this excuse and this reason and blah, 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 blah. Again, if we went into the realms of real physics, that just wouldn't be tolerated. I couldn't make an assertion to you about a particular material and its behaviour, you know, without a physical demonstration. I mean...
Absolutely. You wouldn't get away with it in applied physics. You wouldn't get away with it in any of the material sciences. You wouldn't get away with it in any construction.
No.
You wouldn't get away with it in live fucking life there. No. You know? I mean, we keep pointing that out.
Right.
You know?
If I wanted to go and get a grant for some construct, I have to be able to make a true scale model of the construct. I have to be able to bring it and show all the components and its workings, the materials and how they relate to each other, stress factors, yada, yada, yada. Right? You bring a globe into that fucking realm. Oh, it's plastic. The oceans are the plastic. Aye.
You need to blow it up first.
Aye. I mean, just that little conversation alone should be enough for people to go, wait a minute. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we see it as an image on the telly, so it must be real. So now we're going to contort everything and bastardise everything and twist it all to fit this fucking premise that's never been proven in the first place. But these people think because they see it on a TV, that's proof.
Yeah, but then they'll take it a step further, right? What you see in the TV will be whatever, you know, backed up by mathematical models. Yeah. You know, ideas, you know, with, again, carefully constructed language, specific grammar, right? Specific, you know, things to, and those people will then be the ones that, you know, go out and shout about it, but thinking that they know all.
And here's an example. Multiverse and string theory. Mathematical conceptual models accepted within mainstream science. Now bring me it. Bring me the multiverse. Bring me your fucking strings. Where are they?
You're not going to get any of them there.
Exactly. Yep. So it's the very same thing, just as you've just stated there. You know? But again, the cherry picking. Oh, we can have this, but we can't have that, and it's all right to assert, you know, invisible dimensions, but you can't say gods. I mean, these people are so fucking hypocritical. It is unbelievable, man.
Yep.
Infuriating.
And again, it's a big difference. I mean, I always like to point out the three kind of objects. There's physical, real objects, and then there's mental objects, which just, you know, are objects of thought. They're in the minds of men, right? And then there's the bit in between, our senses, right? Where we do have commonalities, right? Where we do have common traits and a constitution that we all share and that we can all agree on, you know? And they just love to play with these mental objects, right? And fuck us up with the visible world, you know, more often than not, right? Because people don't understand their own constitution, But none of us get anything to do with physical, practical demonstrations and real objects still.
No, absolutely nothing to do with it. But anyway, shall we move on and we'll get the fucking high priests up here and have a wee analyse of...
I get some of these wanking videos.
Right, let me see.
I'm game. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know, but anybody new to this?
As I say, I've individually reacted to these, you know, because they were put out as individuals, and now obviously that's been put together as a, where is it? 3 scientists. So it's titled 3 Scientists School Flat Earthers on Evidence. Right? So again, what we have to understand is, you know, scientist, what are we talking about? Because as I've said before, I could say you were applying a science to how you picked your nose. So you're a nose picking scientist because you use a particular nail structure, file it a certain way, and use a certain technique to get to certain bits in your fucking nose. So we can apply the word scientist to any fucking thing. So what are we actually talking about? Scientists. Because we can have the science of lying. We can have the science of telling the truth. We could say it as about anything. You know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So,
science belongs to every man and not to any institution or guys in white coats, with their own subjective opinion of what that might mean. Yeah. What we're talking about here is real natural science still. Yeah. And I'm using the word natural in the way that the common man would use it, right?
Yeah.
The stuff that we live in, right? The stuff that's round about us every day, right?
Yep. Right. Let me see here. Are we ready? So Gav, usual, just you shout when you want a pause or whatever. I'm obviously going to do the same.
Right.
It's round. Okay, now let's see. How do we go about proving that?
Right, so right away, it's round. Assertions made, image presented to you on the fucking screen.
Yep.
That's a hard thing for me to even start talking about because there are so many proofs that the Earth is round.
So many proofs.
But yet there's none.
Well, let's see what our first one is. Let's see what our big one is, Dale.
It's difficult to know where to start.
B.O.B., the rapper, I have a video.
So here we go. This is what they do. They just pick a sacrificial lamb. Some guy that's made statements, so he now represents everybody, including you and I, Gav. This is their focal point. It's funny why they never bring us into this, isn't it?
Right, very strange. And whether he was just ignorant, Dale, or duped, or he really is part of the deceit, I don't know. I don't care.
But why would you get somebody that's just made a passing comments here or there or tweets and no go to people like us who have been here for over 5 years, week in, week out, actively inviting people at Neil to come up and have the discussion with us?
Yeah, come on, Neil, Mr. DeGrasse.
We'll get to Neil and them hijacking our position.
Come on and see us, Neil.
Video letter to him, the transcript of which is in Letters from an Astrophysicist. That rose to that level of attention.
Letter from an astrophysicist. So Neil's a guy who looks up at the intangible phenomena in the sky and makes up fucking stories about it.
I'd say that's a perfect description of an astrophysicist. Yeah.
Fuck all to do with real world stuff. Absolutely nothing.
Because he started saying, I am using laws of math and physics to show Earth is flat. Those are fighting words.
Aye, because what he probably meant about physics, Neil, is what we've been talking about. Real world, applied stuff.
Yep, that's him already starting to how should I say, bleed into mathematical physics and the confusion in there and putting himself on a pedestal, innit? There you go.
Because Neil's an expert in fucking mental gymnastics.
I'm going to say using math and physics, that is an alarm to the geekiverse that we must rise up and
you can even see who he's appealing to in his fucking language. He's appealing to the Star Trekkers and the Star Wars fanatics who sit in their mammy's basement playing video games day in and day out with a total warped sense of reality.
The geekiverse.
Aye.
Counteract these forces from the dark side that are out.
So there you go. He's telling you we have to counteract, and he's telling you that people that question his narrative are the dark side. So painting you as nasty, evil, whatever, you know.
Yeah, and again using Hollywood, Hollywood speak. I mean that's a Star Wars reference, isn't it? The good side and the dark side,
exactly.
Light side and dark side, or whatever.
Exactly.
So we're Darth Vader,
There are proofs all around you. It is not difficult to know that the Earth is round.
Here's one then, Michelle.
So let's start from the simple to the slightly more complicated. One of the things you can see yourself with a pair of binoculars is if you actually go out to a lake and there are boats on that lake, the farther away a boat is, the more the bottom of the boat will disappear, and you'll basically just...
There it is. So this camera, I've pointed this out before we even get into that, Gav. The centre of the visible field, the frame, right, shows you that the camera's pointing towards the sky, right? Now, levelled, that sea, the water in front of you would appear to rise up to just beneath the central horizontal axis of your picture frame, right? So it appears to rise up in front of you.
Yep.
What is that an effect of, Gav?
It's an effect of your vision, Dale.
You sure? You sure it's not the physical world?
I'm absolutely positive that it's not the physical world, Dale, because substances tell me that it can't possibly do that. So, and I have enough, of my own observations, my own lived life to know how my vision works if I just attend to it closely enough, right? So.
Now, again, without accounting for vision, what they would have to be ascertain to you here is that the earth that you're standing upon is some warped golf ball looking fucking thing, where the floor is physically rising up in front of you and then dipping downwards at some arbitrary point in the distance.
To see the mast of the boat. And as a boat goes farther and farther away, the last thing you will see is the very top of the mast of that boat. And that's because the boat is actually going over the horizon that's curved.
Right.
And that means that as it goes farther and farther away, you see less and less of the bottom of it.
Notice with her right hand, she continually elevates it up the way. Right? That's a geometric, physical impossibility for you to be at the top of a globular earth wherever you go, and the floor to be curving downwards from your feet in every direction. Physical impossibility for it to rise up into the centre of your field of view.
Yep, absolutely.
And more of the top of that. You can see that with binoculars, by an ocean, by a lake.
And every day it changes and varies. Michelle, why are you not adding that in?
Really easy. That wouldn't happen if the Earth were flat. You would simply see the boat getting smaller and smaller and smaller as it went farther away, but you'd be able to see the whole thing with the same proportions.
Would you?
Stop it right there, will you, Dale? I'd just like to have this opportunity to point to a paper that I wrote,
Yeah.
And maybe I can even just do a quick screen share of it. Yeah. I'll post you the link, and maybe you can
post it
into the chat.
I need to stop screen sharing this just now. Hang on. Right. I can present you, can I? Hold on a minute. If I go to that, how do I present you fully so that you're the one that's seen? Hang on. Have you sent me that, Gav?
I just sent you a link to a document.
Right.
I don't know, maybe you can share it or you can post it into the link.
Right, hold on.
It's on my public Google Drive, right, which contains a bunch of stuff. And one of it's a paper that's now 4 years old, Dale, with geometric and mathematical proofs of, that exactly what she said there is just not true. Yeah. It's just not true. It's a barefaced fucking lie, right? That things, when they go into the distance, always get smaller and smaller and stay in proportion. It's not true.
No.
The only time that is true is when you are absolutely equidistant from the bottom or from the top of something, right? If I'm looking at a lamppost, then my eye level would have to be absolutely equidistant between the top of the lamppost and the bottom of the lamppost. Yeah. And then if I look down that line, then yes, it would be more or less true what she says. In every other case, where you are closer to the ground, right, than the mast of the ship, that is not a true statement. Yeah. And the paper that I've just posted, I mean, we don't need to go through it all in detail. I just want people to know that there are mathematical proofs out there that what that lady said is a complete lie. It's an utter nonsense. It's not true, right? And that paper's been on there publicly available now for 4 years, and nobody's ever refuted it. Yeah. They can check my mathematical proof. They can go through the reasoning. They can do it themselves, right? There's even GeoGebra models, right, that you can put in one of these geometric programs to go through and look at it yourself.
Yep.
It's just not true what she's saying.
No.
It's just a lie.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's the thing, you know, just as you say, Gab, we're no equidistant between the floor and the top, whatever that may be. And this is the other thing I want to point out, you know, because I had it with Dan, and Dan presented it, Crazy Polish Man, where, you know, he had a bit of an issue with some guy who was using a water level device, so a tube with water in it, separated by whatever a metre, and going to altitude, and then putting the camera so that the lens is, you know, the water level intersects the centre of the lens, and then saying, look, the floor, which is hundreds of feet beneath that apparatus and the camera, there's a gap between the water level and the floor. You know, these two things are parallels. If you've got a body of water at elevation and a body of water beneath you, they're parallel lines. They're never going to intersect. You don't go up to the elevation and put your camera lens, you know, intersected with the water device and then assert, look, the floor's dropped away beneath it. That is utter stupidity, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's the same if you're on the ground. The only way for you to get an accurate, you're always above the ground. So the floor will never go beyond the central horizontal axis of your picture frame, ever, right? The only way for that to be possible is if you submerged yourself so that the ground or the floor you were looking over was now submerged halfway across your camera lens, right? But that's not the case. We're always above the ground. And then if you go up to elevation, you're even more above it. But this again is just part of their sophistry, their dishonesty, or their stupidity. But sorry,
you go.
No, you go.
I was just going to, I mean, if they were really honest, then they'd kind of do what I did, right? Which is go back to the absolute first principles, right? Let's leave, first of all, the optical instruments out of the game. Let's look at the one optical instrument we all have, right? The one we can all agree on, the globe in your eye, right? Let's look at how that works first, before we start looking through theodolites and getting the complications of, you know, lenses and spherical aberration and, you know, all the intrinsic things that go along with that, right? So, you know, let's look at vision first, understand properly how that works, and make the discernment of you know, of that part first, that the visible world and the physical world behave and operate under two different geometries.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Geometry of vision is spherical, it's two-dimensional. The geometry of the physical world is three-dimensional, Cartesian, if you like, Euclidean, right? Boxes and squares on level planes, right?
Exactly.
So, and if you go back to that level first, and you actually, you know, honestly look at it, Dale, and go through the geometry of it, then you can see that what she is saying is just utterly not true. Right? So if that's the best proof they've got, if that's the three sciences against the first flat Earth, Dale, and the same old horse feathers that they come out with is this visible proof thesis, right, of the mass of boats sinking, then they haven't done their first fucking basics. They haven't done their 101, Dale, as far as I'm concerned. And that's not true science.
No.
That's just charlatans.
And you'll never hear these people, as again in this video, you'll not hear Michelle or any of the others talking about the separation of vision and the tangible world. Never. They just interlace the two of them continually.
Absolutely. And that's one of the basic discernments, I think, that is absolutely necessary to understand the deviousness of it, right? The sophistry. If you catch that one thing, that the visible world and the physical world, and you can prove it to yourself every fucking day, Dale, right? There's so many things you can do to understand how vision works, right? Like, you know, the very fact that if you take a coin, right, and you hold it in front of your hand, right, if you take the diameter of that coin and you remove it in the distance 3,500 times its own diameter, then you won't be able to see it. So, I mean, you know, when people say these silly things like, why can't you see Paris if the Earth is flat? Right? Well, that's just because you have a limit to your vision. There's nothing mysterious about it, right?
No.
They don't need to put it there as if you know, oh, that's what all flat earthers believe. No, and why should they believe it? Why should they even bring that up as an argument if they were being honest, right?
Exactly.
And I mean, I'm not sure if I can share my screen here, Dale. I can give it a go just to see whether it works, you know. I don't know. Can you? No, sorry, an error occurred. No. Okay, but you posted that link, right?
Yeah, it's in there. Is there anything specific in it you want me to pull up?
Well, if you want to just pull it up and we'll
Right,
just
hold
go
on.
through it. It's just a couple of pages I want to point out so that people know the place to look at, basically, right?
Hold
So,
on to a screen share. Right, can you see all right?
I can indeed. But it's all just all funny. It's all mirrored and left to right. That's what I'm seeing. But
Tell me what you're
hold
looking
on.
for.
There's a document in there called Perspective, Appearances and Representations. I don't know if you can put it on list view or something like that. I think you're looking at a kind of thumbnail view of everything.
No, right, well, we've got Geometry Perspective 1, Geometry Perspective
Keep
2,
going.
Geometry Perspective
No.
2R, 3P, mnemonic dialing.
It should start with a P, Perspective, Appearances and Representations.
No, I'm not seeing that, mate. I'm not seeing that.
Should be there. Have you got a list view? You're in a thumbnail view. There should be a kind of grid view. Is there a wee button somewhere at the top of the screen, grid view, that looks like a, I don't know, that you can change it to a list view or something?
I don't know, hold on. Settings, is it in there? No.
Could
List
be.
view,
I'm not
list
sure.
view, right, sorry, there we go. Right.
All right. There's a paper there called Perspective, Appearances and Representations.
Yeah, got it.
PDF.
Right, got it.
Right, there you go. That's like 30 pages. And if you go to, page 2 contains a summary
Yeah.
of the theorems that are basically in that paper. There's two major ones, Theorem 1 and Theorem 2, right, which basically explain how, appearances and representations and the differences between the two and how your vision works. And underneath Theorem 1, there's a whole bunch of corollaries, as they say in the mathematical term. Yeah. And if you go to page number page number 10, which would be corollary 1.2.
Yep.
Then there's a geometric proof in there of why it's not the case that they do not appear in the proportion of their respective magnitudes. So something that is far away does not necessarily appear to be the same size and the same proportion, right?
Yeah.
There's another one comes after that too. There's a couple of pages that go along with that. And then there's another corollary, 1.3 on the next page, where, for example, you can quite clearly see that, see the bottom green object, light green object?
Yep.
It's the same size as all the other parts, right?
Yep.
But that green part is going to look slightly smaller to you than the other parts because it's further away from the center axis of your eye, right? I mean, it's fairly obvious. None of this stuff's rocket science, right?
No.
Even though that green line is the same size as the red line at the top or the two yellow ones in the middle or the blue ones, right?
Yeah.
That green line at the bottom is going to cut a smaller degree, right, arc on your retina than any of the other pieces. So it's going to appear smaller, right? So, I mean, there's proofs that I don't want to go through it all now, Dale, because, everybody can look at it for themselves. All I want to point out is that there is mathematical proofs that what that lady says is just not true, right?
Yeah.
And whether she's ignorant of the fact or whether she's, I just can't believe it. No. And if it is just pure ignorance, Dale, then they shouldn't be calling themselves scientists in any form or another, right? They should be doing their homework, their basics, right?
Exactly.
And they shouldn't be spouting those lies, right?
No.
The fact that mast, the bottom of the ship disappears has much more to do with the fact that you're much closer to the ground. And objects, that object, the bottom half of that ship is going to subtend a smaller angle at your eye. Yeah. And the further away these things get, then the more and more it's going to disappear to sight. Whereas the top half with a mast, which is subtending a bigger angle at your eye, is going to disappear less quickly. The
thing about that is, Gav, as you say, it's demonstrable in everyday life. People have witnessed this looking along a straight road where the bottom of fucking vehicles have disappeared. It's not because the road's curved that it's disappeared, or any curve or obscured by curvature. There's a limit to the light getting to your eye. It can't resolve it. you know?
Of course. And strangely enough, this ratio of 3, 4, 30, right? So 3,430 or 3,500 if you want to round it up. That ratio of when objects are no longer visible to you. So, that proportion times the diameter of the object that you're looking at, that proportion, the distance removed, will mean you will no longer see the object. And funny enough, it just happens to be the definition of the number of nautical miles in the radius of the Earth tail, right? So, and they need that radius of 3,430 nautical miles to get the curve that they talk about.
Yeah.
So what is beyond the imaginary curve, it's pure twisting in language and playing on vision,
Of course.
So,
and again, it's evident. It's evident for anybody that goes and looks at the best proofs of a globe. Every single one will be based on vision, but without telling you that or going into it and extrapolating it in any way, shape, or form. There's no direct measurement of curvature. There's no physical demonstrations of substances. Nothing.
Well, I just hope that paper, is interesting enough for people. And I'm also using it to show that, they'll like to point out that people in sheds don't have fucking educations or, bully people with this intellectual, fucking high ground.
Yeah.
No, sorry. There are people that don't believe in the globe cosmology that can write mathematical papers too. So I challenge any of them to go into that paper, right? Yep. Look at it and tell me what's wrong with it. And then they should retract their stupid statements there.
Exactly. So let's see if they bring anything forward. We're here. You're welcome to come anytime.
Yep. Anytime.
Right, shall we continue?
Please, yeah.
Let me see, where is it?
I hope that, helps people dismantle that pure pish that lady talk to begin with. I mean, and that's the best one. It's the one they always come with.
Exactly.
Isn't it? I mean, Jesus Christ.
Oh, no.
But she said she was going to get into more complicated ones now, so let's hear it.
It'll be Venus and Jupiter and all that stuff. Wait a minute, right, we're sharing all right.
To the seashore. Go to a seashore and figure out why you can't, if you live on the East Coast, figure out why you can't see Spain from the East Coast of North America.
What a fucking prick. What an absolute prick.
Total red herring, right? Total red herring.
Yeah.
We're talking about the limits of vision, and he's trying to bring that up as a proof, say, of that the Earth can't be flat. Absolute disingenuous lies.
And there's a point to do it. And there's a point to do it. If it actually was a globe, we would be able to see a lot further than what they suggest we should. Nothing should be obscured for hundreds and hundreds of miles. So if it was a globular Earth, why can I no fucking look down and see London from the Braes?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, on a globe, you would have that added advantage that you should be able to see further there. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Just go to the middle of the Mississippi River and look south. Why can't you see the Louisiana? Why can't you see New Orleans? What's the problem?
Well, a better question would be, how come Mississippi flows uphill?
Yeah, exactly. I know. Maybe it's a limitation of your vision there, Bill. But he thinks you've got telescopic eyes. He thinks you've got fucking cartoon eyes that extend beyond your skull. You know what I mean? That can go indefinitely so that you can see Spain from the fucking America. What an absolute prick, you boy. I said I wasn't going to do all this, but I can't help myself.
I mean, either. I know exactly what you mean. I mean, the thing is, it's dishonest, right? It's the kind of way a lawyer would argue in a court if he's trying to get a known criminal off there, right? It's a distraction, It's like, let's not worry about whether this guy was the murderer or not. Let's just talk about how horrific the crime was, right? Like, basically just a complete distraction, right? From the actual, facts. I mean, nobody's talking here about having telescopic eyes or, all that nonsense. So why is he even bringing it up?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pure pish.
It's just total nonsense to try and discredit. It's not even well thought out nonsense. It's just...
Or then climb a tower or go to the top of a hill or a mountain and you'll see a little farther, but you will not see to the other side.
For the reasons we just spoke about.
What's that guy's name again? I forgot.
Bill Nye. Bill Nye.
Ah, that's right. Bill Nye.
Aye. as you move off the ground, you know, you're creating a wider angle, so you can see further. I mean,
preposterous.
Of the Earth, places we know to exist. For example, I've been to London. I can tell you, other people have.
Come to Scotland, Bill, because I'm going to kick you right in the fucking stones, and you need it.
So, I mean, even that kind of, that's an old philosophical argument, right, that he's trying to pull there. Nobody's questioning whether London exists or not. So why is he even bringing it up, right? You know, he's trying to come to the high horse with, you know, a kind of philosophical, you know, perspective onto this, but it's just sneaky stuff, sneaky words.
Into Vancouver, British Columbia, and you cannot see Vancouver, British Columbia from Boise, Idaho, let alone from New York City or Toronto or what have you.
Then there's some other...
This is another aspect, because they've used this before about scale. You know, and again, in comparison to the Earth, you are a fucking minute, minuscule blimp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not a fucking giant towering above the whole fucking Earth to be able to see indefinitely. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, we are a little bit like two-dimensional things, right? I mean, we're not snakes slithering along the ground, but I mean, 6 foot isn't much, right?
No.
So, but we're not really at any altitude to be able to get the full picture.
Exactly.
So they're playing
They're
that.
a little more obscure, but they're actually really lovely. And one...
They're more obscure, but they're actually really lovely. It's a use of this words here, trying to treat people like they're appeal to the child. You know what I mean? Like it's fucking nursery school. That again, this is more of the predatory behaviour that really fucking riles me up. You know?
I totally agree. Yeah. It's the dishonesty part of it, isn't it? It's deceitful.
Trying to fluff everything.
Is to observe what happens during a lunar eclipse.
Here we go.
Now, a lunar eclipse happens when the Earth casts a shadow on the moon.
Stop right there, Phil.
Yep.
Yeah, we have to stop right there. These kind of arguments are sometimes hard to see, right?
Yeah.
Or hard to comprehend, because if you don't stop it right there, the rest of it's all immaterial, right?
Yeah.
The thing to point out here is, in my perspective, is that she's making an assumption that the Earth is a space ball, and then she's going to use that assumption to prove that Earth is a space ball. Now that is just circular reasoning. That is just pure distraction. You don't even need to worry about the rest of the nonsense she'll say. Exactly. That's all just there to pad it out and make it sound really good. That's sophistry. But if you don't catch that fallacy, then you can be easily sucked in and taken in by it all.
Exactly. And also the assumptions made about the luminaries. You know, these are just thrown in as well.
Absolutely. She's now going on to say, okay, the shadows, you know, by Earths and moons, but she's already assuming that there's a space out there and Earth is a ball, right? And then she's going to go from there on, and she's going to try and prove that is a proof of curvature.
Well, that's what I was pointing out earlier. They start
it's subtle stuff. People need to watch out for it. Right? It's language.
I said that earlier before you came on there. That, you know, they start from the assumption, the worldview, and then they twist everything that they observe or experience in order to fit that presupposition without ever proving the first premise.
That's right. That's exactly what they do, and that's just a blatant example of it. So we can skip the next 3 minutes of gibberish. It doesn't really matter what she tells me now, right? And that's, I think, what people have to understand coming new to this whole topic, that those kinds of circular reasoning, those kinds of cheating, I mean, it is just sophistry. There's nothing, no proofs in there at all.
No. So let's just skip her forward, see what she's talking
The
about.
sun is on one side of the Earth. The Earth is in the middle. And it's casting a shadow.
There's
The
a
Earth is
cartoon
casting a shadow
to show
on the
you
moon.
that assumption.
And as the shadow moves across the moon, you'll notice that the shadow is curved. It's round. So some show you the shape of the Earth.
No, it doesn't.
So it'd be flat, but it's actually still shaped like a disc, not like a sphere.
So that's the bit that she's talking about a flat. What she's done there is took the assumption of a globular Earth from space and just put in a flat dish in its place.
That's right. That's the lumping together of, you know, every old, you know, nonsense under the sun to try and make it look ridiculous.
Exactly.
But again, the main thing is it's assuming a space ball to prove a space ball. That is not science. That's just word salad.
Exactly.
Right? That's just fallacies. Ignoratio elenchi is the Aristotelian word that covers all of those logical fallacies. It's the inability to know exactly what you need to either prove something or to refute something, Dale. It's ignorance.
Totally, mate.
A Greek scientist called Aristarchus, and what he noticed was that you can get a lunar eclipse at many different angles where the sun is. Sometimes the shadow goes straight across the moon. Sometimes it just kind of glances the moon, just a little bit of shadow, just on the top or on the bottom. From every different vantage point, every different angle that the sun is casting a shadow, you always get a perfectly curved shadow. The only shape that can cast a shadow that's curved from any direction you put the light is a sphere. So people have known that the Earth is spherical for thousands of years.
No, they didn't.
Look at pictures from
Fucking liar.
Fucking liar. Now, what they did know is that your eye, your globe, the thing that lives in the orbit in your head, that's fucking spherical, Dale. That's what they knew.
Yep.
And, you know, just again to point out some of the nonsense that she's speaking in there, it's known that, you know, if you view the world at the center of a sphere, then every circle in the sky will always have a projection of a circle on the sphere. You'll always see it as a circle or as a disc. Right? If you want to call it that, like a disc hanging in the sky, which is how the sun appears to us, right? And that has everything to do with your vision, nothing else.
Exactly.
So again, that's in these papers on that drive if anybody wants to look at it. And I challenge these people to look at any of the stuff on there and come with, if they want, with their mathematics, right? Because even their mathematics don't back it up. So. Well, I call it geometry rather than maths. So.
Let's see, I missed what he says there.
Look at pictures from space, where you see the Earth as a sphere.
There we go. Scientifical, logical fucking proofsies.
Believe what you see in the TV. Right?
Pictures are not fake, and I'll tell you, just if nothing else, here's why you can tell.
We'll believe you then. Just because you say they're not fake, then we'll just take that for granted. Take you on your face value. Thanks for that, Bill.
Exactly. Any one of these I could say, well, that's, you know, somebody's flying in an aircraft with a fucking curved lens that's making the horizon appear curved.
Yeah.
Just to create the paperwork
that here
NASA has.
Well, this is another fallacy and a fucking red herring gibberish as well. You people work at NASA would have to produce stuff. This isn't proving your fucking assumptions, prick.
No, exactly. I mean, he's now going to fall into this kind of motive argument again, you know, as we pointed out many times, you know. Adele, looking at it, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't obfuscate the facts of the fucking crime that we're seeing here, right? Talking about motive or worrying about, how could all these people be part of the deceit? You know? Very easily, because everybody watches the TV, and everybody lends these geeks, these idiots, their authority.
Exactly.
Right? It's something that everybody has to look at themselves and say, why the hell am I doing that? You know, like, stop it is all I can say, but it's got nothing to do with physical facts and proofs, you know.
This one case. Just the paperwork to send anything out in space, to send people into orbit or to send them to the moon. That amount of paperwork would make faking it prohibitively expensive. No one could afford to generate that much documentation.
Shut up.
And the other thing, if you
want, what a fucking complete and utter bell end that boy is. Honestly.
Yep. Again, absolutely nothing to do with what it is we're talking about. And, you know, it's that example I gave, right? He's not proving who the murderer was, he's proving how horrific the murder was.
Yep.
You know, he's gone on now about stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with what we're asking him to prove as nonsense claims.
He's just trying to emotionally sway people using sophistry again.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to get into this, if you're really serious, if your friends are really serious, have them get on a boat or a ship and go out at sea, and you'll notice you can't see infinitely far. Furthermore,
see, I mean, do we know this?
Yeah.
So why do you think that is, Bill? I mean, again, he doesn't address that. You know? Well, at the same time, he's a certain. How can I not see Spain from America?
The claim, nobody here is claiming that we can see infinitely far.
No.
In fact, we're the guys pointing out how vision works.
Exactly.
Absolute nonsense.
or if you get into it enough, pick up a book about navigation or go online and learn about navigation. A very, very important thing you have to take into account when you try to navigate the ocean from a ship or a boat is how high you are off the sea surface.
There we
The
go.
higher you
Celestial
are off the sea
navigation will now be
surface,
taken as
farther
a
you can see, the farther away
roof
the
seat.
horizon is.
Yeah, so he's talking about navigation, and the higher you are off the surface, the further you can see, which is due to increasing the angle. Nothing to do with the curved earth. Right, and again, sorry. What,
No, you go.
you know, we don't look down. You don't elevate up and continually angle downwards to look down the slope of the earth.
Yep. And again, it's the thing we pointed out, how, you know, they'll continually try to use the fact that, you know, there's mathematical models based on spheres that mirror, if you like, the celestial sphere, that the fact that the night heavens appears to us to be spherical, Dale, right? They'll take that, they'll model it, and they'll try and use that as proof again that the world is curved, because only then you can navigate. No, I mean, it's fairly simple that if it's based on vision, and all these navigational items are also built on vision and horizon, that of course it will work the same way, Dale. Fuck all they do is anything being curved, right?
The thing about it is they actually tell you this. They'll tell you that the celestial sphere is an imaginary concept.
Yep.
And as you say, based on the individual and how he perceives the world around them.
Yep. Absolutely.
I actually said this to somebody and I couldn't believe they'd never thought of it. That, you know, with binoculars you can see planets. You can see Saturn and Jupiter. You can see Mars.
You can see cartoons.
Telescope, the sun, the moon, everything else you see in the solar system is a sphere.
Is it?
So we're the one thing that is different.
So here we go. This is basic fucking fallacious reasoning again. You know, I see a circle, I see a ball, therefore everything's balls. What a complete and utter moron.
Well, your analogy with the pool tables, the best one there. Yeah.
Pool balls you round, therefore tables round. Who?
Yep.
Oh, I'm looking at the goal. I'm standing at the goalposts in a football field, and the goalposts that are directly in front of me, I have to look up at them. But the ones at the other end are beneath and look smaller. Therefore, the football park is curved.
Yep.
That's a kind of idiotic reasoning of these people.
Yep.
You know, and that actually made somebody who was more interested in actually hearing information. That actually got them to think. They were like, "You're right."
Oh, you're amazing,
you know,
Michelle. You're fucking absolutely fucking blew my mind.
Everything else we take a picture of is a sphere.
And you guys, come on. Everybody watches newscasts. You all use mobile phones.
This is just blatant propaganda, damage control.
Yep. Now they're going to talk about satellites, probably, is it? Is that? I'm not sure, but when they mention mobile phones and stuff like that, then you can see that they're kind of going that way now.
You all see airplanes fly around. You all go to see
Bill, we all see airplanes dipping, you know, down towards the horizon, which is an effect of your vision again, and not the fact that they're going over any curve.
Exactly.
In fact, you can do simple measurements like measure the time it takes to go through your field of vision, and if that was the case, right, that these things were flying over the curve, would be on a pretty small ball.
Exactly, I've pointed that out before. Time, you know, an aircraft coming from your horizon, passing over the top of you to go to the next horizon, and draw the arc of that, and then see how stupid and idiotic and tiny the globular Earth would actually have to be.
Yep. And again, that would just, you know, that's the stage where they would have to admit that there are visual effects in there, Dale, right? Yep. That it has to do with how your eyes work and visual perception. But again, they just won't go there.
No.
Right? They'll just ignore it.
Exactly.
One day in London, another day in Melbourne, Australia. This all depends on our fundamental understanding of the size of the Earth and its shape.
I was about to say idea. There. Right, let's see. Just before he leans forward.
In Australia, this all depends on our fundamental understanding of this
understanding. Yeah. You were right the first time, Bill. It's just an idea. It's just a concept. Just a model.
And he comprehends the model and the concept, and because he's got the comprehension of it, he thinks that proves it.
That's right. Yep.
the Earth, and it's shaped with extraordinary precision. And if you want to get into it, the Earth isn't quite a sphere. It's a little, its spin is a little stretched at least.
Spins very articulate.
Slightly oblate, as the saying goes.
And it's not okay to think that the Earth is flat. This is not a viable argument.
It's not okay. It's not a viable argument. It's not an argument. And why is it not okay? Because here's the thing. I've pointed out so many fucking times. That's everybody's direct experience. So, how in her mind is it unacceptable for people to think that that's what's going on? Because who experiences curves? Who's experiencing the world as a globe? Nobody.
Yep, absolutely nobody.
I have friends who have been on the International Space Station. They have
here we go.
orbited the Earth once every 90 minutes.
This is all that stuff the same as before. It's just part of the emotional manipulation, trying to treat you like a child, using fluffy words so that you don't reject it, because how can you reject fluffy, wuffy, duffy, gooiness, right? If she can appeal to your fucking childlike mindset. This is no different.
They'll always throw that one in there about, I know somebody, I've got a friend, my dad worked there, and stuff like that. And that's to stop people attacking, right? Because nobody wants to necessarily attack a man, right? But if she's claiming that she knows somebody who's been up there and has seen the ball, then that person is a fucking liar there.
Exactly.
It's that simple.
Exactly.
Right? And we're all, people are supposed to be too scared to point that out because nobody likes to do it. You know, we're all nice folks generally, by and large.
That's what they're appealing to. You know,
that's right.
But as I say, I've got friends who fucking think that they talk to angels in fucking heaven. So, by that reason, I mean, it must be true then.
Yeah. Well, I've got people who think they're made of glass. Yeah, I know people. Yeah, and they're usually, usually have to, increase the medication bill.
I have had personal experience with people that have been up in space and
personal experience with people. Again, just appealing to you.
Can see with their own eyes that the Earth is round. And of course, we've taken all these amazing pictures from space. They're so beautiful, all those pictures of the Earth.
Amazing.
So I don't...
There you go, that's that moving itself.
Superman, didn't you?
Aye, shoot Superman. And in that footage there, it's moving at 17,500 miles an hour, apparently, and it's moving by pretty quickly. Yet, we can go and watch a spacewalk where the Earth beneath doesn't fucking move at all, Michelle. So what's happening with the warp drive on the space station? Putting it into reverse and stopping it for a wee minute so we can do a spacewalk, and then putting it back into 17,500 miles an hour, falling perpetually around the globular cartoon.
Yeah.
I don't really know what's going on right now with this Earth is flat thing.
In a debate, what is the construct? It's typically...
This is the most interesting...
That's what's happening.
This is the most interesting part, and I've highlighted this before. This is where you see a blatant hijacking, direct hijacking of our position and everything we've stated over the last 5.5, 6 years, whatever it is. Right?
Yep.
This Earth is flat thing.
What have we said? What have I always said? It's not a debate. A debate is for ideas, concepts. Reality is singular, it's objective. It's not up for debate. Make a statement or a claim about an aspect of objective reality. You are duty bound to practically, physically demonstrate that. Simple. Right? That's been stated here over and over quite clearly. Let's now have a listen to what Neil's got to say.
And the common sense aspect of things, right?
Yeah.
Trust in your senses and your constitution and knowing how they work. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a debate, what is the construct? It's typically two people, and there's an audience, and you debate some opposite sides of some issue, and then there's a winner of the debate. And then everyone walks away reflecting on the winner. So who wins a debate? It's often the person who's charismatic,
or the ones who have access to mainstream media, who utilise propaganda, misrepresentations, barefaced slander, as we've seen continually over the years, Neil, misrepresenting people like us, lumping us in, generalising, attaching straw men to us. I mean...
Yep.
Who's maybe charming, that's related to charisma, of course, who has a good way with words, good vocabulary. And you can have someone who doesn't have any of that, who is speaking objective truths, who could lose a debate.
Like us. Like pigeons who think that they've debated us because we tell them to fuck off and call them a bunch of morons and think they've won some. Is that what you mean, Neil?
Right. I wouldn't even put us in that category, Grell. You know, I think you know, as far as the vocabulary and the ability to articulate it clearly what we mean, you know, there's absolutely no way that we fail at that, you know, and yourself, you know, absolutely no way.
That's all.
Then what is the point of the debate if one of these points of view is objectively true? So I will not enter a debate where I have the objectively true side of an argument.
You see, this is what I'm saying about them hijacking. You don't have the objective truth, Neil. If you've got the objective truth, bring it then. Bring it to us and let's see. Because you have nothing, son.
Well, we've said that so many times there, right? You know, I mean, I don't know how many times it's been said, but don't engage in debates because there's nothing to be debated here. We can discuss, we can have a reasonable discussion about our objective reality, but there's no debate. And now he's trying to hijack exactly that position and claiming that he's the guy with all the facts on his side. Exactly. Absolute, you know, 180 turnaround, right? Exactly. And I would agree. I would think that that's a reaction to what's happened on this channel.
Yep. Because we're the only ones that have spoke like that. I don't see anybody else saying it's not a debate, yada yada, and using that rhetoric. Nobody.
No.
Because all these supposed big channels, all they ever do is perpetuate debate to make money and con people and to keep it going forever and ever.
Or make themselves important, or I don't know, whatever reasons they have, but I don't hear anybody else saying that it has to be, objective reality has to be discussed and not debated. And now he's trying to hijack that position. Absolutely.
So all these anti-flat earth channels, right, why are they not listening to their high priest here? Their high priest representative of their worldview, who's quite clearly telling them it's not a debate. So why are they not paying attention to him?
Person does not. That is something that should not be debated. Does not belong in front of an audience getting debated. You want to debate something? Debate political policy of what to do in the face of climate change. Do you have carbon tax? Do you solar panels? Do you subsidize them? Debate that.
What he's basically saying there is that when you don't know, because obviously I've stated it so many times, debates happen when you don't fully comprehend and understand what something actually is.
So, and that's fine. There's a place for debates, right? To hear other people's arguments, right?
Yeah.
To even be swayed because, you know, whatever you haven't thought through everything yourself. I'm not saying that there's not a place to have a debate, but
only in matters that are conceptual, Gav.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. You can't debate facts.
No.
You can't debate the natural world.
No. You can debate whether or no if I smash the hammer over your skull that it's going to cave in, or you like. But the physical fact is that it will fucking cave in. I mean...
Right. It would be a pure waste of time to debate that.
You can debate whether or no water's going to find its level and the surface is going to be a horizontal plane. But the fact is that that's exactly how it is. So...
Something that is or is not objectively true in this world.
This is all susceptible to analysis, but spend some time learning about navigation. Tell your friends to spend some time learning about navigation.
Learn about navigation and all the instrumentation and how it was actually done. Right? Yep. Because you will see quite fucking... Every single part of it, planar. Every single bit of it.
Yep, and all relying on our common understanding of what a horizon is still.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And not any mathematical, you know, interpretations of what a horizon or, you know, redefinitions.
Navigation's changed the world, by the way. What are you wearing? You're wearing stuff that came from another part of the world on a ship. It didn't get here by magic.
I came across the pond on the level water, Bill.
Got here through...
That's one thing I always want to keep pointing out too is, you know, the real unit of physical distance measurement is the nautical mile, Dale.
Yeah.
That is the measurement over water, right?
Yep.
Since that is the substance that does not change its behavior and its level.
Yep.
Right? So, you know, anything, you know, and that's why, you know, airships also, you know, navigate using nautical miles.
Yeah.
I think it's important to combat people who are claiming that they are using math, science, evidence, and physics behind their cause, when in fact they either are.
Well, come and combat us then, Neil.
Yep.
He's just asserted that it's not a debate, and now he's going into the rhetoric of fucking combat. Right? So, again, Neil and the people that pay attention, that fucking feed him his fucking lines, get the moron to come and sit here with us. We'll go to him. I'll go to any of these people, any day, any time, any place. Sort it out.
Yep. I'll be right beside you, my man.
Exactly.
And he can go and look at the Google Drive, and if he sees anything in any of these papers that is wrong, then let's see his rebuttal.
Yep.
Aren't.
I would absolutely love just to get in front of these people, isolate them in a fucking room, and let's have that fucking discussion. The reason I know it's not going to happen is because, for the same reason they know it's not going to happen, because they know they're telling fucking lies. And when you've got people who know how to combat their bullshit, they'll never entertain it. They'll just sit here cherry picking, looking for weak targets, using their sophistry and their fucking propaganda tools continually.
Yep, they'll go for easier. They'll sway the weak-minded. That's where their focus will stay. Yeah. And they know there's more of them than there are of us, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Or they're using it badly. That needs to be called out. Otherwise, if you just have a belief system, I don't really care. We live in a country that protects...
That's right, Neil. You can believe you live in an absurdity all you fucking like, but see, when you start trying to tell everybody that that's an objective truth, I've got a serious issue with that, and you need to be combated, son. So, there we go, we'll just twist everything again, right back at you.
But it's absolutely exactly what you said there. It's absolutely spot on. That's the, I've got no problem either. If idiots want to believe that they're on globes and fish, monkey, squirrels, fine. Yeah? But as soon as they start spouting it to our children, right? As soon as they start trying to enforce it into all aspects of education and I don't know, wall-to-wall propaganda 24/7, then I have an issue with it too, because it's holding everybody back. Everybody.
Free speech, which usually also means free thought. You want to think Earth is flat? Go right ahead. But if you start influencing other people who have power over other people, and you have no foundation...
He was all for free speech in the Constitution a minute ago. But now we are crazy men that need to be stopped.
And influencing people who have power over other people. So what he's doing is he's actually saying that these people that are being influenced are incapable of discerning things for themselves. So he's actually kicking them in the balls, stabbing them in the back by making out that they're fucking daft or whatever. That they're in positions of power and influence over other people, but they've somehow been swayed by apparent fringe lunatics. Very good, Neil. How does that even fucking string together? Is anything coherent? I mean...
It doesn't.
What a walloper. I've said it before, these people are just no skilled. They think they're manipulative and this, that and the other, but they've just no got what it fucking takes.
No, well, they don't have the truth on their side and they're not honest.
Nah.
And that's, those two things will always bring their downfall, if you ask me.
Be dangerous. If you influence people or you yourself...
Aye, exactly, Neil. It is dangerous. Look at the state of the fucking place. Right? People are all running about bewildered, clutching at fucking straws, religions and politics and all sorts of fucking crazy, mindless fucking stuff, all because they've been disorientated and robbed of their foundations, where they actually are. Neil, you son are a criminal to the fucking human race.
Become someone who has influence over legislation, laws, rules by which we all abide in society. That's an unhealthy situation for civilization to be in. If your personal belief system...
And this isn't healthy. He thinks civilization the way it is and is healthy or something. I mean, the way civilization is right now isn't because of apparent fringe lunatics that believe in flat earths and all that. That's got fuck all to do with it. The result of where we are now is because of your heliocentric fucking cult.
Absolutely.
Pedophiles and fucking...
You should be ashamed to even be spouting that stuff.
I know.
And again, it's obviously untrue what he's saying.
Aye. Absolutely fucking really rile me up. I swear to God, I've got a real fucking contempt for these cretins, by the way.
We're the crazy 1% that have apparently got the world into the mess it is now.
Huh?
Sorry, Neil, that doesn't even make sense.
Exactly.
No.
Nothing that you said's made any fucking sense.
Which does not have correspondence in objective reality.
No.
Keeps talking about objective reality. Correspondence and objective reality, fucking bendy oceans, opposing pressure systems side by side with any barriers and all sorts of fucking mental contortions going on in your worldview, son.
Warp space time.
Aye.
You'll be loving as an astrophysicist. You'll be right up there looking right into the Einsteinian Poincare disk of the hyperbolic geometry. Even that. Remember that video we watched pretty recently, Dale, where they basically said after all the stuff that they've looked at now that the universe is probably Euclidean.
Aye, exactly. It's Euclidean, but it's got wee space balls floating about on it.
Yeah.
In the thoughts and hearts and minds of civilization.
It's not okay to say that the Earth is flat. This is some sort of strange denial. I don't know where it comes from. And
Well, come and save us then, Michelle. Get all your best cronies and come and save us then. But don't bring words. No words and clipboards and fucking chalks and blackboards and whiteboards. Just bring practical references to support all your assertions. Thank you very much. It's not that difficult, surely.
If it was all true, it shouldn't be a problem whatsoever, Dale.
Exactly.
Thing where I keep getting this question. We really need to put this question to bed because we've
Aye, we need to put it to bed. Let's build a construct then that will absolutely fucking end it all together. Again, let's call you out. Let's get a construct built that will show a direct measurement of the Earth.
Yep. The level.
Aye. Exactly. That's enough of that shit.
It shouldn't be called Big Think. It should be called P-Brain or something, that channel.
Aye, exactly. Small
No,
man.
thanks for that, my man. It was good to just once in a while just go through that stuff and highlight again the nonsense for anybody who still hasn't got it. Yeah.
And that's all you're ever going to get is a rehash of the same shit all the time. So again, it's just like, this is what I keep trying to say to people, this is a continual battle, right, where there's no resolve to be had. It's just them rehashing, new people appearing, same argumentations offered up slightly different over and over and over again. So, you know, if that continues, then people like myself are just going to come here and keep fucking hammering them straight back again.
Oh, I mean, I know the weather can get people down, and you know, sometimes I feel myself, fuck's sake, you know,
Right.
could this not go faster? But there's no fucking way anybody here's giving up, Chief. You know?
No way.
Anybody who's realised, you know, you've got an obligation there enough to keep going, you know.
Exactly.
I mean, there's times when you can say, "Oh, fuck it, get me out of here," you know.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, you can't just leave your brothers, your sisters, your mother, your father in abject ignorance, right?
No.
Or in, you know, under the spell of these people, you know. Just not on, you know, as far as I'm concerned.
Not a fucking chance.
So I'm going nowhere.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Same here. But, aye. And that's it. It's talking about civilization and trying to lay on the thick fucking emotional sway about civilization and you're responsible for all these people. No, you're responsible for your immediates. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't want my immediates subjected to fucking brainwashing dipshits like they fucking three clowns we've just witnessed. So as you say, I'm going to fucking fight tooth and nail right to the end, and I'm going to make sure it's instilled in them so that as they grow and mature, they can see right through this pish. And that's everybody's responsibility. That's how it will transpire, you know, through generation. You know, it only takes one generation to fucking overturn the whole shebang.
You said it, my man. We've said that before, you know, the spell they have on us is tenuous at best, you know. That's why they have to continually bombard us or think up new stuff, right? To keep us in fear, trepidation and bewilderment. Exactly. Because they know it's just one generation away. It's the reason they have to get them young and, you know, do what they do. And, you know, it's everybody's own responsibility to do something about that. You've got it in your own hands, right? You're the ones producing them, the babies, right? So, you know, you need to take some responsibility for that with it.
Exactly. And if you've got a shred of doubt in you whether you still believe in a globe, and if you know inside you've got a shred of doubt, it's your responsibility to know pass that on to the next generation. Don't infect them with your fucking bias. Let them, give them the tools that they require to discern for themselves and make their own fucking decisions.
Yep, exactly that. You shouldn't be telling anybody anything, right? You should just be giving them all the stuff they need to come to their own fucking conclusions.
That's it.
Think for themselves. Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's one of the best handles, I think. That's there's a guy, I don't know him personally, but think for yourself, and it's one of the missing pieces, right?
Right.
People just will refuse to do that. Just hand over the authority to the whatever's on the TV next, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's numbers about, any kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
It's just.
I know, but aye. Well, that was pretty much it, mate. That was
Just one other thing I wanted to talk about, a completely different subject. Obviously it does have the tie into, I consider it to be one of the base lies. The germ theory and the stuff and that's led to all this corona lockdown and misery for the world. At the end of the day, right? I know there's people that you can take certain aspects of it and get comfortable, maybe depending on your situation, right?
Yeah.
And play the victim and use it to your own effect, but by and large this thing's miserable, right? But that's not my point. My point was that, I don't know if you've noticed it, but there seems to be an increasing chief medical officers, chief health officers are coming more and more in every single country. I'm pretty sure it's the same in GB in Australia and it is here in Germany, right? That the health officers are becoming some kind of authority, and it's a global authority, if you like.
Yeah.
They seem to be, I don't know, officers of the World Health Organization or officers of some global association, right? And it seems that the local, politicians or local officials don't have as much power anymore that they do, right?
Yeah.
So, in a way, there's a kind of globalist takeover, right, from the medical industry, if you want to call it that, right?
Yeah.
And obviously that goes right to the core of everybody's fears, right? I'm going to die, or this wrong with me, or that wrong with me, So they've done a really subtle, way of psychological operation on us on using this health thing, and they definitely look to be ramping it up into some kind of global structure,
Yeah.
I might be wrong. I'm just.
No, I think you're right. Sorry, I get distracted there. This Skyfly Bry. This guy messaged me saying he's going to come up here and sit in the shed with me and tell me all about how the world's a globe and all that. So I've told him I ain't bothered, but he's put a message here. I'd like to join you. I think Gav talks complete and utter bollocks. Look, prick, we're not interested in your fucking waffle, you wee dweeb. Get up here and sit in front of me and try all your fucking pish, son. I guarantee you'll have a total different demeanour and you'll no dare try and disrespect me when you're sitting in front of me. Right? Keyboard fucking gangster. Get in your wee fucking piddly motor and get your wee cretinous arsehole up here and into my fucking shed and then say all that fucking stuff. Wank.
That's the big difference between all this online stuff and
exactly.
Real people in person there, That's
Consider
the only way forward, We said before that they're out here to divide and distract and all the tools that they have, right? The best thing is you speak to your fellow man openly and honestly about all these things. Nothing should be beyond discussion, right? There should be no, how should I say, animosity, and if everybody, starts to, how should I say, have control of how they think and how they reason and how they go about with other people, and we wouldn't have all this, right?
No.
There wouldn't be all this fighting and this for debates,
Yep.
So you need to get out into the world and speak to the folks.
Of course, it's always the fucking case, As I say, anybody's welcome, all the keyboard gangsters and gum bumpers of the world. These are all obvious. I mean, step up to the mark.
Right.
What are you waiting for? Aye. Well, cheers, Gav. I'm kind of done in there.
Aye, I'm going to knock off too, my man.
Aye.
Maybe you're going to take a few phone calls, I thought, so I'll just...
No, I'm too hungry. We've ran on a bit as well, so I'm just going to get off and offer it up the next time we're on for the phone calls and guests coming on. So,
Down, my man.
all right, mate.
Take care of yourself.
You too, man.
Good to see a bit of sun about a body.
Exactly. Fucking soaking it in. I think we've got 2 days that are decent, then we'll get punished for 5 weeks or something.
And I've made the best of it. It's been real nice over here in Land as well. So.
Aye. That's it.
Alright, man.
Alright, mate.
See ya.
See you soon. Right. Cheers, everybody. I never get much interaction with the chat, phone calls, or guests coming on, but sometimes that's just the way it happens. Hang on. I'm not taking any phone calls now. It's too late. So hope you are all well, and I'll see you all very soon. Take it easy.